back to the podcast, and Merry Christmas. It is the most wonderful time of the year, and here on the Before Midnight podcast, we want to have lots of fun Christmas episodes for you. So today, this week, we are going to be going through some of our favorite Christmas movies and talking about some of the lessons that we've learned when it comes to the Christmas season from those movies. So Felicia has a nifty little hat that we're going to do, and we're going to draw and see which movie we're going to talk about first.
Yes, I have a little idea, and I was like, why don't we just put these in the hat, because then we don't have to figure out which order we're getting.
I know.
It's a surprise.
It's brilliant.
Nobody knows what's going to happen next.
We have no idea what's going to happen.
So Jessica is going to pick out a movie. Okay, so to clarify, we both did separate movies. So this one might be hers or mine.
Yes, we each chose two movies, and each one has a lesson attached that it's taught us.
Yeah.
So you'll have
don't pick mine.
Oh gosh, I know, right? I'm like, oh, it's far down there. Okay.
Yeah, that is true.
Do I have more than one?
Probably.
Oh no. Okay. All right. Here we go. First Christmas movie is The Grinch. Oh. Felicia's movie.
Yeah, well, I will say I love The Grinch. I think it might actually be my favorite Christmas movie.
Wow.
It's a competition.
Now, wait, when you say The Grinch, which version is your favorite?
Definitely Jim Carrey.
Okay.
I know people are going to come after me for that. They like the cartoons, but I feel like we can all agree that the most recent Grinch it's not on my list.
I just don't know why they made it. It just wasn't necessary. There's the old cartoon, which
is good.
I love.
Yeah.
And then Jim Carrey does a phenomenal job. And I love Cindy Lou Who. When I was a little girl, I wanted to be her. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know why they made a new cartoon. But
I don't know
anyway,
either.
if you enjoy it, that's great. Yeah. And that's wonderful. Yes. But there are lessons to be learned in The Grinch. Am I right?
Absolutely, yes. And to start this off, I just had to read this quote. And I hope I don't cry, which sounds ridiculous, but it's so sweet.
Yes.
And this is what it says. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet, ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled and puzzled till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. What if Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from the store? What if Christmas perhaps means a little bit more? And Jim Carrey delivers that so well. I just watched it to kind of get... I didn't watch the movie. I just watched, that little clip of him talking. I'm like, oh, man. I need to watch that movie now.
Yes.
But what I wanted to talk about for this movie, which is kind of, it's obvious to all of us, but the meaning of Christmas. And I feel like sometimes as adults, it's like, well, I don't believe in Santa Claus. I'm not rushing for my present. So I know the meaning of Christmas, right? Mm. And I think there's lots of different meanings, that we can appreciate. But one of the meanings that really stuck out to me is the compassion that Cindy Lou had on the Grinch. Mm-hmm. And she was just this little girl. I mean, she's brave. Going up to this cave, to this beastly
man cave.
Yeah, the man cave. And this the Grinch is also trying to intimidate her. And I think what I love is that her compassion for him was stronger than her fear.
Wow.
And what's crazy is that I was struggling with something maybe a couple months ago, and I swear the Holy Spirit spoke to me, let your compassion be stronger than your fear. Wow. And so that just spoke to me, Cindy Lou Who has been told her whole life that the Grinch is this monster, everyone talks bad about him, but she had it in her heart that she wanted him to be included, and she wanted him to experience the joy of Christmas, and she wasn't giving up on him even when he was being difficult. And he was if I went to this guy's cave and he was I don't know what he's doing with that monkey thing.
It's that chest press thing. I don't know.
I would be horrified. I would be out there so fast. But yeah, I just think it's so sweet, the compassion that she has on people, and how she wants him to be included, and so it's so sweet.
That's so true. I mean, the whole reason, God came to the earth was because he had compassion on us.
Yes.
We couldn't save ourselves. And so he figured out a plan to come to us.
Exactly.
And save us when we couldn't do it ourselves. And he had compassion on us. And I think in honor of this time of year. I mean, this is how we're called to live all the time, but just in honor of this time of year, putting aside our schedules and our to-do list sometimes, and, figuring out, oh, well, if we invite this person to Christmas, we can't invite this person. It's like, just having compassion on people and being kind. And it's interesting how this is the time of year when we know we're supposed to be kind, and yet I feel like I deal with the most rudeness, and I think it's because people are stressed out.
Stress, for sure. And then I don't know, like the ending of the movie when he changes, like when his heart grows 3 sizes. Is it 3? It's 3, right? Like
it's 3. Like, it's 3 sizes that day.
3 sizes that day. Like, I just feel like that is a reflection of salvation. It just, like, the whole thing. I mean, he goes from, like, not seeing any hope, not having any hope in humanity, like, not, he's isolated, alone, and then something happens, and it's Cindy Lou Who, like, basically, if she hadn't reached out to him, and that's another message right there, like the importance of us reaching out to those people in darkness, which does take compassion. But like what she had done for him, and the love that she showed him, it finally hit him in such a way, just like the love that Jesus has showed us, where we realize there is hope, and he, like, there's some part where he's like, I'm feeling again, like he can feel, and his heart grows, and it makes me think of that verse in Ezekiel. It says, Ezekiel 36:26, and it says, a new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you, and I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh. And that's just like literally what's happening to him in that moment. And it just, I love it so much. And he doesn't change overnight, like we don't change overnight either, when we still have our quirks and everything, and like we're in a process of renewal. But I love it because he's still like the Grinch, and he's still really quirky. But he's changing from the inside.
So when you saw that movie, I don't know about you, but I like wanted to be Cindy Lou Who, and I would try doing the hairstyle, and like, you put like a little plastic bottle under your hair, and then you like do the hairstyle. Did you ever do that?
I've never done it, but I've been curious about it. Have you tried it?
I mean, I think I tried it when I was younger, but I always thought she was really cute.
She is cute. And honestly, so it's funny because that time in your life when you stop believing in Santa, like you find out somehow. Did your parents ever tell you that?
My parents never had us believe in Santa. We could watch Santa movies, but we always watched them with an awareness that this was not real.
I really like that. But when I found out, I don't know, maybe I was 12 or something, but I was 12? I don't know. Maybe sooner.
That's pretty old.
No, that's old. That's old.
That's pretty old.
Yeah, like what age? Maybe probably more like 8 or something. I don't even know. But I was a young kid, and I don't know why, but it's like I had so much built up and wanting it to be Santa.
Yeah.
That once it wasn't, and I was like, that next Christmas was so sad for me. And it was weird. And I wonder if there's other people that go through that. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
But I remember as a little kid watching that song that Cindy Lou Who sings. It's like the Where Are You Christmas song.
Yes. Oh.
And I felt like I was like, and I was so young at this point too, but I was like crying. And I was like, oh, where are you Christmas?
Yeah, it went away.
It went away.
Oh, that's so sad.
It was sad.
Okay, well, you've gotten past that, and you're stronger for it.
I'm like, and I'm still there, still struggling.
So you sing that song, and you're like, where are you Christmas? But what this movie has done is it's taught you the true meaning of Christmas. So I don't know. Let us know in the comments. Did you believe in Santa?
Yeah, let us know.
What happened? Did you experience this like loss as a kid?
Did you deal with grieving process?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Let us know.
So we're going to do movie number 2.
Okay. I'm so nervous it's going to be mine. Watch it be both of you, like yours. Oh, wait. Should you pull it out now?
Oh, yes. I want to pull.
All right. Here we go. Da-da-da-da. Oh.
It better not be mine, I'm telling you. I think it is. No, it's not.
Wait, what is it?
It's Santa Claus.
Oh, it's
Santa Claus. Okay, so I know I just said The Grinch is my favorite movie, but I will say it's probably tied with the Santa Claus. That's why I picked them.
That is such a good movie.
It is
so
a
classic. Like absolute classic. I have to watch the first Santa Claus movie every Christmas. I mean, to me, it's just one of those movies you have to watch.
Yeah, and it's crazy because they're like building off of it. I think they're still making shows and stuff about it too,
that's
which I
true.
have not watched them. But
I haven't watched. I'm not excited about them, to be honest. Just because there's something about that first movie. It just had such a good feeling with like just, I don't know, the nostalgia, and then it got into some really deep stuff in that movie. It's quite an emotional movie actually if you watch it.
It is, yeah. And I think what I feel like when I was thinking about like what do I feel like this movie has ever taught me, and I feel like something that stuck out to me was how he was so resistant to his identity before, and how his son was the one that kind of motivated him to step into that.
Yeah.
But what I love about it is that it kind of reminds me of like when we become a Christian, and there's so many things that God is helping us step into, you know, like for Scott Calvin, it's like one thing after another. It just is so easy, right? It's like like Santa falls off the roof, and then, you know, the reindeer are there.
It's just kind of a strange like thing if you think about it. It's like kind of dark, but
it's very dark.
We just don't think about that part.
It's very dark.
It's pretty dark.
It's like also very dark when he's like in his sleigh and he's like, tomorrow I'm getting a CAT scan, because he thinks he's like mentally losing it.
Oh, that's a terrifying thought.
Yeah, so like you said, there's some dark themes in there.
There is.
But yeah, it kind of just made me think of like embracing our identity and how that can kind of be a struggle sometimes, but God lays stuff out for us. You know, it's not our job to like search everywhere for it and stress out about, you know, what am I supposed to do? Because I feel that a lot, you know, I'm like, what is God's purpose? What is God's plan for me? But in that movie, like everything happens for him. Like all he has to do is step into it. And what I love is the voice of his son that's like the faith of a child, you know, and kind of leading him along. And I feel like that could be like the Holy Spirit in a sense of like, just step into the sleigh, you know, and he steps into it and they go. And it's like, just walk over to the chimney. And he's like, there's nothing there. Like, this isn't a chimney, you know. But there's like, just walk over to it. Just move forward. Yeah. And God opens those doors for you. Yeah. I love it.
Literally opens the chimney.
Literally opens the chimney. And it doesn't look quite like that. But I think there's a principle there.
There's a principle in there.
Yeah.
That's such a good point. One of my favorite parts of that movie is when he's in the North Pole and he's getting that hot cocoa from the really old elf. That is like elf. 8. And he's just like, man, I'm looking at it and I can't believe it. And she says, you know, kids don't have to see this place to believe that it exists. You know, seeing isn't believing. Believing is seeing. And that's really how it is with us and Christianity and God. It's like there's a sixth sense that we have, and it's not spooky.
Yeah.
It's
I'm like, cut.
I know. Felicia, no scary things. But no, it's not. It's just this other sense that's been put into us, almost like a homing device of like, no, this is what you were created for. This is your real home, right, in eternity. And it's just beautiful because that really is what faith is, right? Believing is seeing, and it bears witness in our spirit.
Yeah. And I also love the changes that happen to him while he is stepping into that identity, because it's not always about the career. Like for that movie, that was the main focus. It's like he is becoming Santa Claus, you know, like that's the point of that movie. Yeah. But at the same time, I think about all of the secondary things that happened with him because of his willfulness and his obedience to like move into that, you know. His relationship with his family became stronger. His relationship with his son became stronger because they had something to bond off of. And like the way he was able to, like, if he didn't step into that, all the kids wouldn't get their presents, you know. So it's like when we choose to follow God's call on our life, and it doesn't have to be the big things, you know, it could just be like, hey, have a pull in your heart to ask somebody how they're doing, stuff like that. Like that has such a ripple effect on other people's life.
That's so true. And I love how you said it. He doesn't really have to strive to become Santa. I love how in that board meeting, or not board meeting, but the business meeting he's in with his company, and they're talking about this new toy that is completely just a cash grab. You know, it's a terrible toy. And it's like before, Tim Allen's character would have just probably been all for it. But it's like he's not even thinking about it, but his entire perspective is different. And he's like,
exactly.
Can you play with this? This is terrible. Like he's seeing it from the perspective of a child, not because he's trying to become Santa, but because he is Santa.
That's exactly
it.
And
so even the way he sees things has changed, and he's not trying to do it. It's just now it's who he is. And like you said, that's just so much of like who we are as daughters of God. It's you're not trying to be a daughter of God. You're not trying to be royalty. You're not trying to be a Christian. You are. And so if you just allow the Holy Spirit to lead you, just the way you see things, the way you talk to people, the way you see situations, the way you see opportunities, it's just going to be naturally different because it's just who we are.
Yeah, exactly. Like the moment that Santa fell off the roof, he was Santa. I think. Like, I'm pretty sure that's how it was.
I think it's when he put the suit on.
Oh, it's when he put the suit on. Okay.
So it says, you put the suit on, you're the big guy.
Yeah, the big guy, yeah. So
I
it's
know
like,
this movie very well.
From that point on, he was Santa. And like, even if he didn't, do the next 4 steps, that was already his identity. But it's funny you brought up the board meeting because it kind of made me think of also when we're changed and when we're saved, we are going to inevitably start to look at things differently. And I feel like it's easy to be discouraged when the people in our lives don't understand. It's like, you weren't like that before. Like, why aren't you wanting to do these things anymore? And it can kind of be like, a discouragement to us to keep us from walking into that.
Yeah.
And for him, it was a good reason because he's like, eating a ton of sweets.
Right.
Like,
They should have been concerned.
They should have been concerned.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, when we start walking with God, stuff is going to look different from the outside perspective. And I think it's good to remember not to be discouraged because what's happening in us is a good thing. Yeah.
All right. Your turn to shake?
All
All right. Let's do it.
Okay. Ready?
I wonder whose we'll get. This is the last one where it's like a mystery.
That is true. Actually, I didn't think about
here?
that.
There is. Okay. Alrighty. Oh, I'm nervous.
I hope you're ready.
A Muppets Christmas Carol.
Aww, no cheeses for us, Mises. If anybody's seen that, that's my favorite line.
That's your favorite line? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
that's my
that
point.
is a good one. That's a good one, though. I love when the little bunny rabbit is like trying to sing his Christmas carols, and then later you see him sleeping in the cold. This movie is so emotional.
I think that's what it is for me. I'm like, this is a little bit too sad.
It's a really emotional movie,
but it's got a good message.
I say A Muppets Christmas Carol because that's the one I watch every year, but it's really good. I mean, Michael Caine, is that his name? The actor? He's in everything. Anyway,
yes,
he does an incredible job at acting with puppets because that is not easy, and yet he makes it so natural looking. And so anyway, it's just an incredible movie. But what I wanted to talk about in this movie is just really the transformation that he goes through. And I know it's kind of obvious because everyone knows the story of Scrooge and, what happens in the end. But something that really strikes me is he doesn't just become kind. He becomes so overwhelmingly generous. I mean, he is marching through the streets the next morning on Christmas morning and calling everyone to follow him. And he gives money to the little bunny and he goes and buys the biggest turkey he can or whatever it is. And they all just go to Kermit's house.
Is Kermit in that movie? Is he the one that plays the kid who basically like was going to
Kermit's son?
Kermit's son. Yes.
I can't remember their names right now. I did not think of that, but yeah, they're those characters, and it's just so sweet. And one of my favorite parts in that movie is when he shows up at the house and he pretends to be angry at Kermit, to like trick him, and he's like, "You weren't at work today," and he's like, "Oh, but sir, you gave us the day off," and it's like he's being mean, and Miss Piggy like comes and she's, "I've had enough," and she like pushes Kermit aside, and another, and I love it so much because I'm like, that is how I am with Jeff. And I feel like there's just something in us women that like get like that. We'll listen behind the door for a little bit and then we're going to say something. But of course he's just teasing.
Oh, I thought you meant if Jeff was Mr. Scrooge in that situation and you were Miss Piggy.
No, if he was Kermit.
You were saying Kermit.
Which Jeff does a really good Kermit voice. So it kind of works out. But anyway, I just am so overwhelmed by how generous generous he is. And it just got me thinking about the holiday season and how sometimes it's easy in the midst of the hustle and bustle and the planning and the hosting and the family affairs that we have to go to and stuff like that to start kind of getting a little like, oh, well, but I don't want to see them, or, oh, but if we invite them, then they're not going to get along with them. And it's just, it kind of gets a little political.
Yeah.
And while when you host a lot, which we did an episode on hosting tips, it's like sometimes you do need to think about some of those dynamics. But especially when it comes to the holidays and Christmas, it's about bringing people in. And it's about, showing value to people and being generous to people. And so I think that movie just really always gets me in that. And there's a verse that I think illustrates this well, and it's Luke 6:35. But love, that is, selfishly seek the best or higher good for your enemies, and do good and lend, expecting nothing in return, for your reward will be great. And I remember one time I was feeling like I was just having a really bad attitude about hosting one time. And I felt like I came across that verse and the Holy Spirit just kind of spoke to me. He's like, you're setting yourself up for disappointment by having all these expectations. Like, oh, I'm doing this for people, so they should be doing this for me, whether they should be grateful and thankful to you, or whether they should act a certain way, or whether you think people should do things for you now. It's like when you give and you're generous, expecting something in return, it's not true generosity. And part of that is just, it's not true generosity, but also you're setting yourself up for disappointment. And so I just love how in that movie, he's the richest man in town. I mean, he basically owns the whole town. So these people, or puppets, they can't do anything to pay him back. They can't give him anything, but it gives him so much joy to be able to give and to bring them in and to give them an experience and to make them feel special. And to me, that's just such an opportunity that we have at Christmas time, is to bring that into people's lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is so true that, like, honestly, the meaning of Christmas and this time of year is to have that relational, be in a relationship with other people and show them generosity and show them love. But like you said, it seems to be like that time where we do the opposite and we pull back because it's so much overwhelming going on. Yeah.
There's so much going on that it's easy to just think about how overwhelmed and stressed you are. And I mean, that's when people need it the most. That's when people need love and care the most. And it doesn't always mean providing everything for them, but just being kind and being generous with your time and bringing them into your home and listening to them, I think can do a lot. So really recommend that movie. It's definitely a must watch for me every single year.
I think it's actually one of Brian's favorite Christmas movies. I hadn't seen it until he showed it to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I'd seen it till Jeff showed me, because I didn't grow up with it. But it touched me as an adult, like my heart. I was like, oh my gosh.
It's funny because I feel like the movie that I've seen that has that theme is the one with Matthew McConaughey and Jennifer.
Oh, Ghosts of Girlfriends Past?
Yes. That's the one that I know.
That's the one that I know too.
You've seen it. Okay.
But he's so sleazy. It's like, I don't want him to have a happy ending.
And Jennifer Garner, she's like this. She's just sweet. Is it Jennifer Garner, right?
I think so. I think that's how you say it.
She's so sweet and everything too that you're just like, no, don't hurt her.
Yeah, I'm like, girl, you can do so much better. So no. Watch a Muppets Christmas Carol.
Watch the Muppets version. Absolutely.
Let us know what your favorite Christmas Carol adaptation is in the comments.
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of them, actually.
There's a lot. So plenty for every taste.
So I wonder what the next one's going to be.
I wonder what the next one's going to be. I guess we'll just have to...
I'm really excited about this one.
Are you?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I love this movie so much.
That's true. We know what it is. Okay. Oh!
Well, now we'll never know.
I guess we'll never know. It's over, guys.
I'm putting this
All right. It's Christmas vacation.
We were at a Christmas market today, and they were playing like all of the songs from this movie specifically.
They were, including the opening song for this movie.
I don't want to sing to people, but
whatever. But it's a good movie.
It is so good.
It's just one of those movies that, I don't know, it's so like cheesy, but it gives me the perfect feeling at Christmas time of like hosting Christmas, having family over, all the stress and craziness of it, but all those classic Christmas traditions.
And just the humor of it.
The humor's like pretty good.
Looking at it in a funny way. Because sometimes the same exact things can happen in our life, and we're like, oh, we get so upset about it.
It's so relatable.
But then we can look at it and be like, okay, that's kind of funny.
It's so relatable. Yeah, it's good. It's good to be able to laugh at things in our life, because otherwise we're just going to get too stressed. Mm-hmm. But it's such a good movie. And I've seen all the vacation movies, and honestly, this one is by far the best in my opinion. I love it so much.
Other ones, actually.
So this is the second in the series, I believe. I'm not super versed on it, but there's several. I think there may be 4. I could be wrong. Wow. But this is the only Christmas one. And it's just so good. But anyway, the point that I wanted to bring out of this movie, and this actually came out when we were watching it. We were on a trip in Texas, and it came on TV, and I wasn't ready to watch Christmas movies yet, but it was like the only thing on TV, so kind of had to watch it. But I love this movie. And so we were watching it, and Jeff and I were just talking about how, like, man, why does he keep, Clark Griswold, why does he keep putting these like unrealistic and big expectations on every little thing? It's like you see him setting himself up to be disappointed. I mean, everything. It's like the in-laws coming. Oh, it's going to be just like my childhood. But you know what's funny? And I don't think I caught it until I watched it this last time, is he's trying to create the perfect Christmas for his kids because he's basing it off his memories as a kid of like what he thought was his perfect Christmas, right? But when he's talking about it, you see flashbacks and you even see video footage. I think he's watching home videos in the attic, and he watches home videos and you see his Christmas, and it's kind of chaos. It's not actually very good looking.
And he's like,
he's excited and he's having fun, but then you see like the dad getting upset, and you see the mom getting worried, and it's like interesting how they subtly brought that in. It's like, okay, in his mind, it was perfect, but it wasn't actually perfect.
I never noticed that.
And that's kind of the point, is it's like it's never going to be perfect. Everything's not going to go the way that you expect it to, but that doesn't mean that the memories aren't going to be so special. And you just like, I get so frustrated at him throughout the whole movie. It's like he wants to have everyone see the Christmas lights on the house. And so he builds it up and has everyone do drum rolls, and he starts singing carols, and then he flips the switch and nothing happens. And then it's just like, why did you build that up so much? And then the biggest one, because this happens all throughout the movie, but the biggest one is the bonus check. And he gets it in the mail. He starts like crying. He apologizes to everyone for being, stressed, and
this is gonna solve
everything that's gone wrong.
Yeah.
And he announces what he's gonna do with the money. He's gonna put in a pool, and then he says, "I'm gonna fly you all out here, to break it in." And everything was like, and he does all this before he even opens the check. And then it turns out there was no check. And of course, it all works out in the end. But it's like, why do you keep building these things up? And I definitely think it's good to have like things we look forward to. Like there are traditions and things that I certainly look forward to. And I know, the Christmas market that we went to today was one of them.
Oh my gosh. I'm a crazy Christmas person.
Yes.
I look forward to so much.
It's good. It's good to look forward to things because we're supposed to live our lives with joy. But I think something that can happen is we start going, okay, this is going to look exactly the way it did last year.
So you'll always be disappointed.
You're always going to be disappointed. Or, okay, we're going to go see family and it's going to be like this. Or I'm going to host a party and it's going to look like this. And we start putting all these expectations on things. And first of all, that stresses everyone else out because they're probably thinking something different.
They're part of the equation, too.
They're part of the equation.
Oh, I'm supposed to act like this then? If that's what you're imagining in your head.
Exactly. They're like, oh, crap, I didn't know that I had a role in this play that's going on in your head. It's like, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that movie just really teaches me to kind of maybe have some things that I'm looking forward to and some things I want to do and memories I want to make, but to realize that every season and every year is a new chapter. And to just be like, all right, God, what do you have for me this year? This is what I want to do, and I want to make these memories, but I want to live them in the moment with people. I want to live this moment because you could be missing out on some great memories that you're going to look back on and love.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm like a person of routine a little bit. In one way I'm not, but in another way I definitely am. And I feel like we've talked about this before a little bit, but I like having these certain things that I do every season. But like you said, I feel like when I get too caught up in that, it's like, oh, I have to watch this movie during Christmas. I have to watch this movie during summer. I have to go do this. It becomes like, now it's on a to-do list. And now if I don't do it, I'm going to be upset. And then it kind of keeps you from being able to start new traditions and like try new things. Cause like you said, he was looking at his family and how Christmas had gone and it's like, he was just wanting to copy and paste that into his life, into his kid's life. And then, you know, you're allowed to make new traditions every year, like try new things, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's fun to try something new every year, you know, and sometimes maybe you won't like it and sometimes maybe you will, but it reminds me of this verse in Proverbs chapter 16, verses 3 and verse 9. It says, before you do anything, put your trust totally in God and not in yourself. Then every plan you make will succeed. Within your heart, you can make plans for your future, but the Lord chooses the steps you take to get there. And I feel like that's just a really good guide for us when it comes to, you know, it doesn't sound spiritual, but, you know, our holiday season and like the things we look forward to, especially this Christmas, because there's also a lot of expectations other people can put on you. Maybe your family has expectations. I mean, I know like sometimes family can feel like, oh, we wanted to see you, and it's like, oh, but we can't this year. And it's like easy to let guilt and condemnation come in, but just really approaching it like, okay, God, like here's what we want to do. It's good to make a plan. It's good to have, like you said, like, okay, here are some traditions and things that we really want to keep alive, because if you don't, the season's going to pass you by and you're going to be like, where did time go, right? So you have to be intentional. But I think it's good to be intentional about what you want to do, but then also take each day as an adventure and just be like, all right, God, well, you know what? Maybe this is the idea I have for my Christmas party this year, but maybe there's someone that needs to come that's never come.
Exactly.
And maybe it's an opportunity to minister to them, or maybe, you know, we need to go be a part of this or a part of that, or, you know, you just never know. And it's just really important. It also could just be fun stuff that he wants you to experience.
Exactly.
That you're not going to experience if you're like, nope, we got to do this. We got to do that.
Like so
stick to the schedule.
Yes, exactly.
And it's just like, no, we need to, that movie especially, if you need to learn that lesson, I recommend watching it. But it's such an important lesson on just like, you know what, you can't control other people. You can't control your circumstances. Make a plan, have a goal, and then just enjoy the season with the people in your life. Because the point of Christmas is, of course, we know, you know, Jesus and all these other things that we've been talking about.
Absolutely.
But it's also, if you're not enjoying yourself and you're not enjoying the season and you're not living in joy and peace, then other people are going to be stressed. You're going to pass that on. And so you never know whose life you can inspire simply by living your life with joy.
Yeah, absolutely. When you said like other people would be stressed, I thought of the scene in the movie where he's like screaming.
He's screaming at everyone.
That is terrifying. Like if someone lost it like that,
oh my gosh,
scared.
You would be like slowly moving to that. Yeah.
I also have a mystery in that movie, and it's like, you know, when he gives his boss a present, this is not a point at all, but you know when he gives his boss a present and he sets it and they all look the same?
Yes.
What is that? Does anybody know what that's supposed to be?
I don't know. Comment below and tell us if you know. My thought on it was that I didn't realize they all looked exactly the same. It's probably supposed to be like a typical gift you get a boss. But
okay,
I always
just all
thought,
they're trying to say.
Maybe. I don't know. But I always thought like, oh, he thinks they're doing something special for him and they'll stand out. And it's like, nope, everyone's doing it. And you still don't stand out.
So that makes sense.
So that's kind of what I thought. But I don't know. If there's something else going on here, then let us know, because that's actually pretty interesting.
It is.
Yeah. Good movie. Watch it.
Merry Christmas.
Well, that concludes our first episode of the Christmas season. I'm so excited to do these episodes, and be sure and comment below and tell us what are some of your must-watch Christmas movies this year, because I definitely want some new ideas, and so I'd love to see what some of your favorite ones are, and try watching a new one this year, because there's honestly so many that come out that I can't even keep track. There's like the classics, but then there's a lot of new ones that are pretty interesting.
Yeah, and if you add the Hallmark in there, there's millions.
Well, then there's a sea of a plethora of content there. So be sure and check that out. But if you haven't, be sure and subscribe to the podcast so that you can see all of the fun Christmas episodes that we have coming your way.
And if there's anybody you know that needs to start getting into the Christmas spirit, share this with them.
Thank you so much for tuning in and have a wonderful Christmas season.